Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Brooke. Now you might be confused if you've seen any of my other videos. I am a fantasy romance writer, so why am I making a travel vlog about going to Banff? Well, it has a little bit to do with writing, but really in November I finished my challenge to write 30,000 words in the month of November, which means I get a special treat at the end. Now, this was the first weekend of December, and this trip was already planned. It's actually a family trip, but I was still excited to use it as an excuse for something to look forward to finish this challenge. Not to mention, being in the mountains gives me the best writing ideas and creativity because the mountains are just so magical, and they just remind me of every fantasy world that I love. Like, doesn't this give you Lord of the Rings vibes? Now, we decided to take the side way to Banff, which included more mountains but took longer. So we ended up getting in Banff very late. But that was no problem for us because we went to our favorite pub there, which is the St. James Gate pub. Man, the vibes here were immaculate. There was live music, cute couples dancing, good drinks, so many people. If you didn't know, I went to Ireland this year and this pub took me right back and it gave me so much serotonin. So we started the night off very well. Then we left and I almost fell out the door. It's fine. But we decided to walk around the shops because we had nothing else to do and we couldn't check into our hotel. However, we did make our way over to a very special place to get ice cream. We were laughing about this because last time we were in Banff, we got ice cream and it was minus 40. It wasn't as cold this night, but it was still pretty cold and we were the only ones with ice cream. But it was 100% worth it. After getting said ice cream, we accidentally stumbled upon this event going on in Banff. I seen it, but I didn't know where it was, and the admission was free, so we just walked up and we were able to get tickets right away, and it was crazy. But honestly, this was so beautiful, and I felt like I was in a fairyland. It was amazing. Seriously though, after spending a month writing every single day, ending the month with 30,000 words, I was exhausted. So getting this little getaway from my own mind and my books was amazing. Did I feel a little bit guilty though about not writing? Yes, as a writer I always will. But I was still technically working in my mind because I was absorbing all of the information around me, and traveling is the best way to increase your creativity, I believe. I've personally got some of the best book ideas while traveling. And like, this might be a writer thing, but I have met people while traveling and I'm like, oh my god, you need to be a character in my book. Which might be creepy now thinking about it, but whatever. Honestly, this entire event amazed me and I was just so happy that we stumbled upon it. But we headed back to our hotel for the night because tomorrow we have some very exciting things planned. Moving on to, I think, my favorite day of the trip. We were awoken to a beautiful sunrise that lit the clouds and mountains pink, and then we headed to a Christmas market. This was wonderful. It was at the Banff train station, and there were so many amazing vendors, and the place was decorated like from the bottom to the top. It was amazing. It gave all of the best Christmas time vibes that you want in the mountains. And it was a beautiful day outside. They had fires out and live music, and honestly, this guy was amazing. But maybe that was because he covered all of my favorite songs. After the Christmas market, we went to the Gondola, which, as you can see by my face, I was having a great time. It was not scary at all. Okay, but really it was cool to see the views of the mountains as you're going up said mountain. I don't remember the carts being this tiny though. It was a little windy as well, so as we were going up, the carts would shake a little bit, and that was terrifying. But when we got to the top, man, the views were worth it. As you can tell, we were pretty excited to be at the top, finally. It was incredibly windy though, and very much colder up here than it was down at the bottom. But you can actually hike up this mountain instead of taking the gondola, and me and my partner were thinking of doing that. But more so in the summer. We wouldn't do that in the winter. That would probably be horrible. That's one hell of a view. And basically the only reason that we would be hiking up this mountain is because dogs aren't allowed on the gondola, and we want to bring our dogs everywhere, and that includes the top of a mountain. This is fine. Everything's fine. She's a little windy! As you can see in that last clip, it was increasingly more windy as we headed to the peak of the mountain, which is actually an old cell tower, I believe, but there in the distance is the actual building that you come up in, and this was just an extra hike, just for fun. As you can see, I continued dying and struggling. This was a lot of steps, but the view of Banff, the little town down there from it, was amazing. We're going to the top. She was correct, and she did indeed make it to the top. Which I really didn't record much else other than this vertical Snapchat video, but I brought my Polaroid camera with me, so I was busy taking Polaroids. We headed back down the mountain, went for supper, and then went back to the hotel where we had a real fireplace, and let me tell you, the vibes were vibing for writing. I wasn't gonna push myself to write on vacation, but I mean, how could you not when you have a real fireplace? So I sat down, I filmed a reel of how cozy it was because I loved it so much, and then I did a little fun time lapse of me writing while my partner played Animal Crossing. If you don't know, I'm working on a project called Project Everly. It is a fantasy romance book, and if you want to hear more about it, honestly go check out my Instagram because I haven't talked too much about it on my YouTube channel, but it is the first draft and I am trying to write 80,000 words. I ended November at 30,000, so I'm continuing writing as much as I can, which honestly, this clip right here is probably the longest that I wrote throughout the entire month of December. On the third morning, we decided to take things a little slow. We kind of slept in because the day was so busy yesterday, but we ended up walking downtown to get some coffee and gluten-free carrot cake. Yeah, it was pretty good. I was very surprised. There was no seating inside though, so we did sit outside and it was a little cold, but there was lots of cute little friends. We didn't feed any of them though, they just appeared. I did take some Polaroids of them though as they were waiting for food. It was really snowy today, so we just kind of walked around Banff. We found a gazebo. Even with the snowy weather, it felt so magical because it was like you were inside of a snow globe, which this was giving snowy, misty mountain vibes. After our walk though, we went back to the hotel, got some more firewood for another fire tonight. It's so heavy. We took a little bit of a break and then went back out to walk around the shops. This is the Banff Christmas shop, and oh my god, it screamed Christmas. It was actually so magical, and I'm really happy that I got to go inside. It was incredibly packed though because we were in it during December, but it was still pretty cool. We ended up going for supper, which once again I forgot to film, and then we went back to the hotel where I played some Animal Crossing and relaxed by the fire. It was wonderful. Good morning. It is our last full day in Banff. I started off the day by playing some more Animal Crossing and eating a delicious breakfast sandwich. We did leave a little earlier though today and headed to Johnson Canyon to hike, and this was a beautiful hike. The entire canyon was just covered in snow and a little bit of ice. But here's some ASMR of the river just running. I've only been here once as a kid, and I believe we all had the same thought with the blue flowing water. Looks like blue Gatorade. It was the forbidden drink that we all wanted to taste, though it was probably fresh glacier water, so you could have probably done it and probably been fine, but I wasn't gonna try climbing over that barrier. I've never watched Narnia, but I imagine this is what one of the snowy scenes in the movie is like. I'm guessing. We finally made it though to the first attraction, which was a massive waterfall that was frozen. Again, more forbidden blue Gatorade. There was a line to actually see this, which we waited for a while, and then we decided to push on to the second waterfall, which was almost another hike in itself. These better be beautiful. Beautiful is an understatement. Oh. So this was the waterfall that most people hike to go ice climbing. Yeah, there was a lot of people here doing that, and I could never imagine doing that. So that's the second waterfall back there, and all these really tall ice spikes waiting to fall down on someone. And yes, there was people up there climbing the waterfall, which was crazy, but it was a beautiful sight. We pushed our legs a little bit further and walked up to see the top view of that same waterfall, and there were the ice climbers there standing. They did make it up, thankfully, but the view from up here was just as beautiful. You can continue walking even further on this hike, but we were dying, so we turned back and went and got supper. And honestly, editing this makes me very sad because these were the best truffle potatoes I've ever had. We had a little surprise waiting for us as we went to leave our hotel to go swimming, and there was a fox there. We didn't feed it or drop any food. We believe it was just eating the salt off the road. But it followed us, and it was very cute. But we ended the night in the hot tub, the outdoor hot tub, which was very nice. Okay, I lied about the second day being my favorite day. Even though this was the day that we left Banff, I think it ended up being my favorite day, really, because you will see, we were not going to end our vacation early and leave just to go home. No, we extended it a little bit and went to Canmore to explore, which, I mean, the entire morning drive there was absolutely beautiful. Once again, beautiful pink skies. We stopped for coffee and breakfast. As you can see, my breakfast included a gluten-free glitter brownie. I didn't know the Rocky Mountain Bagel Co. had gluten-free options, so when we walked in, I was very excited. We got our delicious sugary lattes and headed to my favorite place, the bookstore. I've been to this store only once before, and it has stuck in my mind so vividly because it is just crowded with books, and it's a local store, locally owned, and I just love everything in it. We literally came here as soon as the bookstore opened, and I saw this cute little romantasy coloring book. I've been wanting to get a coloring book, and I thought it was so cute, but then I realized all the pages were basically AI. So I was looking at this Lord of the Rings one instead, but I didn't end up getting it. It was funny because I immediately found the adult romance section, and I love how they had little warning signs. It was very cute. But here's an overview of this bookstore, and oh my god, I love it. We got our coffees. I was trying to finish mine. Thankfully, my amazing partner held my coffee while I looked at books. I mean, I know, I'm a lucky gal. And I swear just every corner of this bookstore was covered in books, and I saw one that caught my eye. I seen it on Instagram, but I put it back and instead found the cat tarot cards. I know, honestly, I should have gotten one, but this store, they had a whole section for witchcraft and like herbal stuff. It was so cool. So many Christmas vibes, even still. Now, in reality, we were killing time by being in that bookstore because there is a used bookstore section. It is separate across from this store, the same owners, so it's another business, but this is the one that I remember, and it's all used books, and man, I found one that caught my eye. I didn't know what it was, but it's actually a special edition of Twilight. I've never seen this before, but it was so interesting. I did leave the store with a tote, but I did not get the Twilight edition, surprise, surprise. I found these two used Harry Potter books, and they're like the old cover, and I kind of have a collection going. Anyways, we left Canmore and went to the most exciting place I think of this trip. This is the Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary by Cochrane. It is the only wolf dog sanctuary in Canada. We decided to do the interactive tour where we actually got to go in this PAX environment, and some of them were really friendly. They loved like head scratches, belly rubs, everything, but then some were more wolf blood, like the one in white back there, and they're just not really comfortable around people, which is totally fine because there was so many cute wolves that did decide to come up and interact. And I think one of our favorite wolves was that black and gray one in the back walking, which was actually part Irish wolfhound, which is just crazy. All of these wolves have such amazing backstories, and it felt like an honor to be able to hear about them and learn about them, and of course meet them. All of these wolf dogs are rescues, of course, and some of their backstories aren't that great, so it was nice to know that us coming here and learning about them is actually helping to support them. And it was actually kind of funny because one of my books has a wolf dog sanctuary in it, and I always loved that idea. And now I actually got to visit a real one, so I was kind of taking notes on how they acted, how everything worked. And we got to see some demonstrations. So on this one, they did like a little scent enrichment activity. And it was so cute to see them rolling around. And it was such a beautiful sunny day out, so most of the wolves were actually just laying right out. We could see almost everyone in every pack. We also got some hot chocolate to warm ourselves as we walked around because it was still a little chilly. My feet were freezing. But this little duo of wolves in this enclosure were adorable. We actually stuck around for another enrichment activity, and it was really cool because we were the only ones there. It was so quiet, so we really got to be interactive with it. And I didn't film it, but there was actually a howl started where all of the wolves started howling at once, and it was absolutely the most magical thing I've ever heard. I simply just couldn't pull out my camera because I was in awe. Also, there was cute farm dogs and goats and chickens, so that was a plus. This entire trip to Banff was so magical, and I left with such a feeling of inspiration and so many book ideas to go back to writing. Thank you for joining me. Have a good one. Bye!